This is Joe Rosemerick, and tonight we're on the water. We're going to a relatively new lake to me. I think I've been here once. Got skunked. We're just going to go out exploring, messing around, see what we can do. Might get into some panfish, some small smallmouth bass, and we'll see what we can do. Here we go. Well, we can officially say I've no longer been skunked at this lake. I do have one little, maybe a 5-inch crappie. Just sitting out here with a slip bobber rig, a small jig, and a piece of worm. Very basic setup. Catching some panfish. I know there's some walleye listed on the fishing report out here. We'll see if we can find them. If not, the bottle bass are biting. So here you can see my slip bobber rig. I'm sitting in about 10 foot of water, and the bobber is over about 7 foot of water, sitting on the outside weed edge. We're in a metro lake, pretty fertile, lots of nutrients, low visibility. Just sitting out there. Now, when you're gonna fish with a slip bobber, you need to keep your line tight so that if you just wiggle your rod, you can get that bobber to move, and you can generate a little bit of action in that jig or hook that's just sitting out there. Because we have such small fish in this lake, at least on the fishing report, we're just going to Old Reliable. We got a little 16th ounce jig, some live worms. Given that we're not moving, we're just slip bobber fishing, we're not trolling, we're not dragging a spinner, I'll actually tear all these guys in half, which is going to be plenty more worm than what we're really going to get with the fish population out here. So we rigged this worm up kind of gob style. We went through it 2 or 3 times, left a free hanging tail. You can see the other half of the worm trying to escape my hand there, but he's going right back in the bin, so that's okay. We get a little bit better look at this jig. You can see it just passed through it 2 or 3 times. It's got a little bit of a free end. It's going to sit there and kick in the water and hopefully attract the fish. Well, we got another one here. When they said dominated by a small bluegill, they meant dominated by a small bluegill. This might even be smaller than the first one this zone. Only about a 4-incher. I think we're going to put him back in the water. So if you're wondering about the rigging, it's just a simple slip bobber rig. I have just a rubber bobber stop. You can go and do the same thing with a bead and a knot. I've got a slip bobber. The bobber itself slides through the line. I got stopped here with just a basic snap and a dipsy swivel to help sink the line. And then all the way down here at the bottom, I have my jig and worm just sitting there hanging. It's on fluorocarbon. It's going to be nearly invisible in the water. I'm going to have to fix the worm and get it up next to the jig head again, but that's a very simple rig for what we're doing. Works good for panfish, but if you can get into some walleye or smallmouth bass, they love eating worms, and it can work for them as well. So you can see the bobber sitting out there, and one mistake a lot of people make when they're bobber fishing is they think that the bobber has to go down in order to actually have a fish on it, which is not true. Most people will use way too big a bobber for what they're actually fishing for, which I'll readily admit I'm guilty of tonight. I'm using my walleye bobber because that's what I had in the boat when I threw it over the side. What you need to do, your pencil type bobbers, basically they can be a slip bobber or a fixed bobber, but they're long and slender and run parallel to your line. They're going to be able to tell you more about whether or not you have a fish than your conventional round clip-on bobbers. The reason being, if you're watching your bobber and you see it moving to the left or to the right or towards you, something is causing that bobber to move unless you're actively reeling. And usually what's causing that bobber to move is a fish, which is why when you're bobber fishing, more often than not, you'll go and you'll reel in, hey, I never saw my bobber do anything. Why do I only have half my worm? Well, because you weren't watching your bobber, or your bobber's too big, and something was there on your hook, and you let it get away. So, just a word to the wise about tackle selection and fishing performance on the water. 3 is the magic number. Today's magic number is 3. 3 fish. So we're wrapping up for tonight. We caught 2 small sunfish, 1 small crappie, and a couple bottle bass. But that's okay. Tonight, we needed a win. We got skunked last weekend. We had a long week at work. Let's just go have something where you get some guaranteed success, and it's okay. We had a good time, and we're gonna go home, go out, try and get some bigger fish in the morning on a different lake. Hope to see you on the next On the Water. This is Joe Rosemerick with Rosemerick Fishing. Thank you.